Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in your hand, a coin so ordinary to the untrained eye that most people pass it by every day. But what if I told you that a single 1970 Lincoln penny could carry secrets worth hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars, hidden in plain sight? Today, we're diving into the story of the 1970 Lincoln penny, a coin that has quietly captured the fascination of collectors and coin enthusiasts across the United States. Whether you've inherited a jar of old coins or just enjoy learning about rare collectibles, this little penny has a story worth knowing. The 1970 Lincoln penny is part of a series that has been circulating in America for over a century. Abraham Lincoln first appeared on the 1-cent coin in 1909, commemorating the 100th anniversary of his birth. By 1970, the Lincoln penny had evolved into a staple of American coinage, featuring the familiar portrait of Lincoln on the obverse, or front, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which had been added in 1959 to mark the centennial of his birth. The D Mint mark indicates that this particular penny was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the country's primary coin-producing facilities. To understand why the 1970 penny is special, it helps to know a bit about the context in which it was produced. The late 1960s and early 1970s were a period of transition for U.S. coins. Rising copper prices made the production of traditional bronze pennies more expensive, though the full switch to the copper-coated zinc penny would not come until 1982. The 1970 penny is composed mostly of copper, with a small amount of tin and zinc. This composition gives it a distinct reddish-brown color when new, though decades of circulation often leave the surface darker and worn. Beyond its composition, the design of the 1970 penny carries subtle details that coin collectors notice immediately. Lincoln's bust on the obverse is finely detailed, with carefully rendered hair, coat, and facial features. The words "In God We Trust" arch across the top, "Liberty" sits to the left, and the date is boldly stamped to the right. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial is shown with the tiny figure of Lincoln barely visible between the columns, a feature that is often overlooked by casual observers. What truly sets the 1970 Lincoln penny apart, however, are the subtle variations and errors that can occur during production. Some 1970 pennies were struck with what collectors call a double die error. This happens when the coin is stamped more than once with slightly misaligned dies, producing a doubling effect on the date or lettering. Double die pennies are among the most sought after in the collecting world because the mistake is rare and visually striking. Other anomalies, like off-center strikes or unusual planchet flaws, can also increase a coin's value dramatically. Even slight differences in color or toning can make one 1970 penny more desirable than another. So why is this penny considered rare or valuable? It's not necessarily because millions weren't minted. Denver produced over 1 billion pennies in 1970, but because of these subtle errors and condition differences. A 1970 penny in perfect, uncirculated condition, or one with a clear double die error, can fetch hundreds of dollars at auction. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that are pristine or display these unusual characteristics, transforming a coin that might otherwise be worth just 1 cent into a significant collectible. There are real-life examples that highlight just how valuable these pennies can be. In recent years, auctions have seen 1970 double-die Lincoln pennies sell for several $100s, depending on condition and the clarity of the doubling. Even standard 1970 pennies, if found in uncirculated condition with full luster, have been known to sell for $20, $50, or even over $100 in collector markets. These values may seem extraordinary for a coin we handle every day, but rarity and condition are what drive the market. Identifying a real 1970 Lincoln penny is easier than you might think, but it requires careful attention. Start by checking the mint mark. The D should be small, well-defined, and located just below the date, Look for signs of wear, scratches, or unnatural coloring, which can indicate tampering or cleaning. For error coins, examine the date and lettering under magnification. Doubling is subtle and can sometimes be mistaken for a shadow or dirt, so patience and a steady hand are essential. If you're uncertain, professional coin grading services can authenticate and grade coins, often increasing their market value substantially. The 1970 D Lincoln penny is full of surprises beyond its rarity and monetary value. Did you know that the Lincoln Memorial design includes 13 steps, symbolizing the original 13 colonies? Or that the tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial is so small that it often appears as nothing more than a line to the untrained eye? These details reflect the care and symbolism that went into U.S. coinage, connecting every penny to a broader story of American history. Another interesting fact is that pennies from the Denver Mint often have slightly different coloring than those from Philadelphia or San Francisco due to variations in the metal mix and the minting process. Collectors love the 1970 D Lincoln penny for both its historical significance and the thrill of the hunt. Owning one is like holding a piece of the past, a small artifact that tells the story of American industry, design, and attention to detail. It's not just about potential financial gain. It's about connection to history, craftsmanship, and the quiet excitement of discovering something rare in your pocket change. Coin enthusiasts often compare notes, track auction results, and share tips on spotting errors, creating a community bound by curiosity and admiration for these tiny treasures. So the next time you find yourself sorting through a jar of old coins, take a moment to look closely at those Lincoln pennies. Among the countless ordinary cents, there may be a 1970 D hiding with a story to tell, a coin that could surprise you, challenge your knowledge, and perhaps even reward you in ways you never imagined. It's a small object, but it carries decades of history, subtle mysteries, and a connection to collectors who treasure every detail. In the world of coins, even the tiniest piece of copper can hold a universe of stories, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. And remember, history has a funny way of hiding in plain sight. That unassuming penny in your drawer could be more than just spare change. It could be a link to the past, a conversation starter, or even a gateway into the fascinating world of coin collecting. Every coin has a story, and the 1970 D Lincoln penny is proof that even the smallest objects can hold extraordinary secrets. Keep looking, keep learning, and who knows, your next coin could be a treasure waiting to be discovered. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary that you pass it by every day, yet hidden within it could be a story worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Today, we're uncovering the secrets of one of America's most intriguing coins, the 1979 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Most people see it as just a penny, but for collectors, it's a small piece of history that carries a lot more than its face value. The 1979 D Lincoln penny is part of a long line of 1-cent coins that have been in circulation for over a century. The D on this coin indicates it was minted in Denver, one of the two primary locations producing pennies at the time, the other being Philadelphia. At first glance, it looks just like any other penny in your pocket. Its copper-brown surface, the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the front, and the Lincoln Memorial on the back make it instantly recognizable. But the story behind this coin reveals why even a coin that seems ordinary can capture the attention of collectors worldwide. In 1979, the United States Mint was focused on producing coins for everyday use. The country needed billions of pennies for commerce, yet the Mint continued to carefully design and craft each coin with precision. The Lincoln penny, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had already become an iconic symbol of American currency. By 1979, its design had been updated with subtle improvements in detail and quality, but it still maintained the classic features that had made it a household staple for 70 years. The D mint mark signified its origin, and each penny was struck using a precise blend of metals to ensure durability and uniformity. The 1979 D penny is composed primarily of copper, with a small percentage of zinc. Its obverse, or front, features the distinguished profile of Abraham Lincoln, a design created by Victor David Brenner over 70 years earlier. Lincoln's face, stoic and dignified, has remained a symbol of honesty and integrity in American culture. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands as a tribute to the president, complete with intricate detailing that includes the tiny figure of Lincoln inside the memorial's columns, a feature often overlooked by casual observers. What sets the 1979 D penny apart from other pennies is not a dramatic design change, but subtle variations and minting errors that occurred in small batches. These small imperfections can turn an ordinary coin into a sought-after collectible. Collectors are particularly drawn to the 1979 D penny because of certain rare anomalies that can appear. In some cases, you might find a doubled die penny, where the letters or numbers appear slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during minting. Others may have unusual striking errors, like off-center images, weak impressions, or unusual coloration caused by chemical reactions over time. While most 1979 D pennies in circulation are worth just a cent, those with verified errors can fetch surprisingly high prices among collectors. One notable auction highlighted a 1979 D double die penny selling for several $100s. Another coin with a slightly off-center strike drew bids exceeding $1,000. While these are not everyday occurrences, they illustrate how careful examination can reveal hidden value in what many would consider a simple coin. Even coins in pristine condition, known as uncirculated coins, can attract attention. Graded by professional services, a flawless 1979 D Lincoln penny can command premium prices, particularly because most pennies from that year show signs of wear from circulation. For anyone curious about spotting a real 1979 D penny versus a counterfeit or altered coin, there are a few key details to examine. The mint mark itself should be sharply struck and clearly show a D below the date on the obverse. The Lincoln portrait should be crisp, and the lettering around the coin should be evenly spaced and not blurred. Weight and diameter are also important. Genuine pennies from this era weigh about 3.11 grams and measure 19.05 millimeters across. A coin that feels off in weight, size, or appearance should be examined by a professional. Counterfeit coins are rare, but careful inspection ensures collectors are not misled. Beyond its potential value, the 1979 D penny has a number of interesting features that make it a fun coin to study. For instance, while most people never notice it, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse includes a tiny sculpture of Lincoln seated inside. If you hold the coin close and use a magnifying glass, you can see it, a hidden detail that few casual observers realize exists. Additionally, the color of a penny can reveal its history. A bright, shiny penny indicates it has been well preserved or stored, while a darker, worn surface tells a story of decades in circulation, exchanging hands countless times. Collectors are drawn to the 1979 D Lincoln penny today because it represents a blend of history, artistry, and subtle rarity. Unlike older coins from the early 1900s, which may be difficult to find, 1979 pennies are still relatively accessible, giving new collectors a chance to own a piece of history without paying exorbitant prices. Yet the thrill comes from knowing that within a batch of ordinary pennies, a hidden gem might exist. That combination of accessibility and potential rarity makes it an endlessly fascinating coin. Owning a 1979 D penny is like holding a small piece of American history in your hand. It represents the ingenuity and craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint, the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln, and the quiet thrill of discovery that collectors feel when they identify a unique coin. Each penny tells a story, not just of the year it was minted, but of every transaction it participated in, every pocket it traveled through, and every collector who has carefully examined it over the years. So the next time you come across a 1979 D Lincoln penny in your pocket or your change jar, pause for a moment and take a closer look. Examine the details, the mint mark, the subtle lines of Lincoln's face, and the tiny memorial on the reverse. What may seem like a simple coin could hold a surprising story or a rare error that elevates its value far beyond a single cent. Collectors are always searching for these hidden treasures, and perhaps, just perhaps, the next one is sitting quietly in your hand, waiting to reveal its secret. The 1979 D Lincoln penny is more than just change. It's a reminder that even the most ordinary objects can hide extraordinary stories. And for those who love history, curiosity, and the thrill of discovery, it remains one of America's quietly fascinating collectibles. What secrets might your penny hold? Only a closer look will tell. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that most people overlook, yet it quietly carries decades of history, a story stamped into its very metal. Today, we're diving into a coin that might be hiding in your pocket change or tucked away in an old jar at home. The 1985 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. At first glance, it seems ordinary, just another penny produced in the mid-1980s. But like many coins, a closer look reveals a subtle story of design, history, and the quiet thrill of collecting. By the end of this video, you might never see your spare change the same way again. The 1985 D Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of 1-cent coins featuring Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to mark the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The D mint mark indicates that this particular coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the United States' key facilities for coin production. The coin carries the familiar profile of Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which has been a staple of the penny since 1959. While this may seem like just another penny in circulation, the 1985 D Lincoln penny holds a quiet fascination for collectors, both for its historical context and for subtle variations that occasionally emerge. The year 1985 sits at an interesting point in U.S. coin history. The economy was steady, and the penny continued to serve as everyday currency. Unlike earlier years when pennies were made of mostly copper, by the 1980s, the composition had shifted. The 1982 transition to a copper-plated zinc core meant that many pennies minted in the following years, including 1985, were primarily zinc, with a thin copper layer on top. This makes the coin lighter than its predecessors and gives it slightly different handling characteristics. Collectors pay close attention to this change, because coins that accidentally retained more copper or that show unusual wear due to this new composition can occasionally stand out in the market. Design-wise, the 1985 D penny keeps the timeless image of Lincoln on the front. Brenner's design captures Lincoln in a calm, reflective pose, his gaze slightly downward, as if contemplating the weight of the country he once led. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial is finely detailed. If you look closely at a well-preserved coin, you can even see tiny figures within the columns of the memorial, a level of craftsmanship that is easy to miss at first glance. These details, subtle as they are part of what makes coins like the 1985 D so intriguing. Collectors often examine these minute features to determine not just authenticity, but also condition, which dramatically affects value. What makes the 1985 D penny particularly interesting is not that it's extremely rare, but that it exists in a fascinating middle ground where condition and slight variations can make a significant difference in value. Most 1985 D pennies are common, worth only a few cents in circulation. Yet, coins in near-perfect condition, graded as uncirculated or higher by professional services, can fetch surprisingly high prices, sometimes tens or even hundreds of dollars. Even more exciting are the pennies that carry minor errors, doubled dies, off-center strikes, or unusual coloration due to the copper-plated zinc composition. These mistakes happen in the minting process and are highly sought after by collectors. A single small error can transform an otherwise ordinary penny into a valuable piece of numismatic history. To illustrate, one auction in recent years featured a 1985 D penny with an exceptionally sharp strike and flawless luster. Although common pennies from this year typically exchange hands for mere cents, this particular coin sold for over $50. It might not sound like a fortune, but for a coin that could have been sitting in a pocket or jar for decades, it demonstrates the hidden potential in these everyday objects. Even more impressive, rarer error coins from the same year have been known to sell for several $100s, a remarkable increase from their face value. These examples highlight why collectors scrutinize even the most common pennies. The chance to find a hidden gem keeps the hunt exciting. Identifying a genuine 1985 D penny is usually straightforward, but it requires careful observation. Start with the mint mark. The small D below the date on the obverse side should be crisp and well-defined. The coin should have a smooth, round edge without any obvious casting seams or inconsistencies, which are common in counterfeits. The weight is also a clue. A standard 1985 D penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. Many collectors use magnification to inspect the details of Lincoln's profile and the Lincoln Memorial. Tiny imperfections, while sometimes increasing value, are different from signs of tampering or forgery. Authenticity is critical because even minor discrepancies can drastically affect both value and collectability. There are also some fun and surprising details that make this coin more than just a piece of currency. For instance, pennies from the mid-1980s often exhibit slight color variations. Some are bright copper, while others take on a more muted, brownish tone over time. This natural aging can affect a coin's appearance dramatically, yet it doesn't necessarily reduce value. In fact, coins that have developed a rich, even patina are often prized for their aesthetic appeal. Another fascinating tidbit is that the Lincoln penny is the longest-running U.S. coin design featuring a president, and 1985 D pennies are part of that enduring legacy. Holding one connects you to over 7 decades of American history, from the changes in metal composition to shifts in coin production technology. Collectors love the 1985 D penny today because it represents accessibility combined with the thrill of discovery. Unlike coins from the 1800s or early 1900s, 1985 D pennies are within reach for most enthusiasts, making them a perfect entry point for beginners. Yet, the potential for rare errors or uncirculated examples creates a layer of excitement that appeals to seasoned collectors as well. There's a quiet satisfaction in searching through rolls of pennies, spotting that one coin that stands out, and knowing that its story is part of a larger historical tapestry. It's not just about monetary value, it's about connection, curiosity, and the joy of holding history in your hand. So next time you find a penny on the sidewalk or dig through a jar of loose change, take a closer look. That small copper-plated disc could be more than pocket change. It could be a 1985 D Lincoln penny with a story to tell. Whether you're hunting for errors, uncirculated gems, or just appreciating the craftsmanship of everyday coins, this penny offers a window into the past and a chance to engage with history in a tangible way. The 1985 D may not make headlines like coins valued in the millions, but its quiet appeal, historical significance, and potential for hidden surprises make it a coin worth exploring. And as you hold it, think about this. Every penny has a journey, from the minting press to the hands of strangers, to possibly landing in your pocket today. Some pennies end up forgotten, while others, like certain 1985 D examples, quietly gain value and admiration over time. The next time you glance at a small copper coin, remember, sometimes the most ordinary objects can hide extraordinary stories, waiting for someone curious enough to discover them. Could the coin you pass by every day be the hidden treasure a collector dreams of? Only one way to find out. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of people pass by every day without a second thought. Yet this tiny piece of metal could hold secrets worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Today, we're uncovering the story of one of America's most overlooked treasures, the 1991 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it might seem like any other penny from your pocket change. But dig a little deeper, and you'll find a history, a story, and a rarity that collectors dream about. The 1991 Lincoln penny is part of a long and fascinating series that has captured the imagination of coin collectors for decades. The D mark stands for the Denver Mint, one of the primary facilities that produce coins for circulation in the United States. While the Lincoln penny might feel ordinary, each year's production reflects subtle changes, minting quirks, and rare variations that can make a common coin suddenly extraordinary. The story begins with Abraham Lincoln himself, the 16th President of the United States, whose portrait has appeared on the penny since 1909. The coin was originally issued to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday, and over the years, it has become a fixture in American culture. By 1991, the Lincoln penny had undergone minor updates in design, but it remained largely the same familiar coin, copper-plated zinc, 1 cent, and a symbol recognized in every pocket and purse across the nation. The 1991 penny was minted during a period of high production. The Denver Mint struck billions of pennies that year, supplying a growing economy with change for everything from vending machines to parking meters. But even among billions of coins, subtle variations and errors can make a coin rare and highly desirable. The 1991 penny, for example, is known among collectors for a few specific features that set it apart from its mass-produced counterparts. One of the key characteristics of this penny is its composition. By 1991, the U.S. Mint had been producing pennies primarily from a zinc core coated in a thin layer of copper. This change from solid copper, which occurred in 1982, was intended to reduce costs. Most 1991 pennies look identical to the naked eye, but careful examination reveals a uniform copper coating, sometimes thinner in certain coins, leading to a phenomenon known as zinc spotting or slight discoloration. Coins that exhibit an unusual tone or unexpected wear patterns can catch a collector's attention. Another aspect that makes the 1991 Lincoln penny intriguing is the design. The obverse, or front, features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design that has graced pennies since 1959. In this series, small errors during striking can create variations that are highly sought after. While the 1991 is not known for major nationwide errors, certain coins display doubling, weak strikes, or unusual die cracks. These imperfections can transform an ordinary coin into a collector's item overnight. So why, you might wonder, would a penny minted in Denver in 1991 have value beyond its face worth? The answer lies in scarcity and condition. While billions of these pennies exist, the coins that survive in pristine condition, with sharp details and minimal wear, are far less common. Collectors prize coins graded M-65 or higher, meaning mint state with exceptional quality. Even minor errors, such as a double die or die cracks on select 1991 pennies, can elevate the coin's market value significantly. To put this into perspective, consider real-world examples. In recent years, 1991 Lincoln pennies graded by professional coin grading services have sold at auction for several $100s in mint condition, and rare error coins have fetched even higher prices. One particularly sharp specimen with a noticeable doubling effect sold online for over $400, a remarkable leap from its original 1 cent value. This demonstrates the power of rarity and collector demand. What once seemed mundane can suddenly become a prized possession. Identifying an authentic 1991 Lincoln penny is surprisingly simple once you know what to look for. First, check the mint mark. The D should appear clearly below the date. Look closely at the strike quality. In genuine coins, details on Lincoln's face and the Lincoln Memorial are sharp and consistent. Examine the edges for smoothness and uniform copper plating over the zinc core. Counterfeit coins are rare, but careful inspection, especially of weight, thickness, and overall design fidelity, can prevent mistakes. Consulting a reputable grading service is also an excellent way to ensure authenticity. Beyond its collector value, the 1991 penny holds surprising quirks and fun facts. For instance, due to the high volume of pennies produced in Denver that year, some coins exhibit slight variations in color, ranging from bright copper to a darker reddish-brown. Collectors often find these subtle differences fascinating because they tell the story of how each coin traveled from the mint to everyday circulation. Another interesting fact is that Lincoln pennies are one of the few coins that Americans still carry daily, making them one of the most accessible yet historically rich collectibles in the world. Collectors love the 1991 Lincoln penny not just for potential value, but for the connection it provides to American history. Each coin is a tangible piece of the past, a reminder of the president who fought to preserve the Union and the small, everyday objects that link generations together. The joy of discovering a high-quality or rare penny in a roll of change is a thrill that never fades, especially when it comes with the added knowledge that the coin has a story beyond its metal content. Even for those who don't consider themselves coin collectors, there's something captivating about holding a 1991 Lincoln penny. It represents a moment in time, a blend of history, art, and everyday life. And while most people will continue to overlook these pennies, the small number of coins in excellent condition or with rare errors remains hidden gems, quietly waiting for discovery. So next time you dig through a jar of change or inspect a few coins from a cash register, take a closer look at the pennies you find. Among the millions of ordinary coins, there could be a 1991 Lincoln penny that's more than just a cent. It could be a small but powerful connection to history, a potential collector's treasure, or even a piece of unexpected financial luck. The story of this coin reminds us that value isn't always obvious at first glance, and sometimes the most remarkable things are hiding in plain sight. The 1991 Lincoln penny may seem like a simple, everyday coin, but its true worth lies in the details, the history, and the rarity that only a discerning eye can appreciate. Every scratch, every mint mark, and every minor variation tells a story, linking the past to the present and making this little coin far more than just 1 cent. Keep your eyes open, because the next 1991 penny you hold could be the beginning of a remarkable discovery. And if you think a coin from 1991 is just a piece of copper and zinc, remember this. Sometimes the ordinary hides extraordinary secrets. How many other pennies in circulation might be hiding stories that could change your perspective, or even your wallet? The journey of discovery is just beginning, and the 1991 Lincoln penny is waiting for someone curious enough to find it. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that could be worth far more than its face value. Not just a penny, but a piece of history that many people overlook every day. Today, we're diving into the story of the 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that has quietly caught the attention of collectors and enthusiasts across the United States. What makes this ordinary-looking penny potentially extraordinary? Let's find out. The 1994 Lincoln penny is part of a long line of coins honoring one of America's most revered presidents, Abraham Lincoln. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday, the Lincoln cent has undergone subtle changes over the years, but its significance has remained constant. The coin's obverse features a detailed portrait of Lincoln, while the reverse traditionally showcases the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. In 1994, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies across its facilities. Most coins that year were struck at the Denver and Philadelphia mints, which can usually be identified by a small D or P stamped on the coin. But every now and then, a coin slips through production without a mint mark. This small omission, seemingly trivial, can turn a common penny into a highly sought-after collectible. What makes the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny fascinating is its rarity. While millions of pennies were produced that year, only a tiny fraction lacks the mint mark. Collectors know that coins without this mark are unusual because they don't match standard production records. It's a mistake that adds mystery, making the coin more than just a piece of copper. It becomes a puzzle, a small anomaly that intrigues anyone who appreciates the history and stories behind currency. The design of the 1994 penny itself is familiar to most Americans. The obverse carries Lincoln's profile, detailed and dignified, with the words "In God We Trust" arched above his head. To the right, Liberty and the year 1994 are inscribed. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands as a symbol of his legacy, flanked by the words United States of America and E Pluribus Unum. The coin is primarily composed of copper-plated zinc, a combination that has been used since 1982. At first glance, it might seem ordinary, but the absence of the mint mark quietly signals its uniqueness. So why does this penny command attention from collectors? In the world of numismatics, even minor variations can create major value. A coin with no mint mark from a year when one was expected is automatically considered an error, and errors, by nature, are limited. The 1994 no mint mark penny represents a production anomaly, a tiny glimpse into the human side of coin making. Because they are scarce, and because Lincoln pennies are already so beloved, collectors are willing to pay a premium for these rare examples. To give you a sense of its market value, recent auction results show that well-preserved 1994 no mint mark Lincoln pennies have sold for hundreds of dollars, and in some cases, depending on condition, even more. While most everyday pennies from 1994 are worth just 1 cent, these era coins tell a very different story. A coin in uncirculated condition, with a sharp, flawless strike, can bring significantly higher prices, drawing attention from serious collectors who understand its rarity. Identifying a genuine 1994 no mint mark penny requires a careful eye. The first step is to check the area where a mint mark would normally appear, just beneath the year. On a real coin, this space will be completely blank, without traces of a D or P. Some counterfeit coins may attempt to mimic this look, so collectors often examine the coin's overall strike quality, weight, and metal composition. Comparing it to standard 1994 pennies under magnification can reveal subtle differences in detail and finish, helping to confirm authenticity. It's a process that requires patience, but for many enthusiasts, discovering a genuine no mint mark coin is a moment of excitement unlike any other. Beyond its rarity, the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny carries surprising stories and fun details. For instance, pennies like this one remind us that even in modern minting, human error can create something memorable. Each coin is a snapshot of a moment in time, a small artifact that quietly survived decades of circulation. Some collectors even enjoy imagining how these coins slip through the massive machinery of the mint unnoticed, making them a tiny mystery with every glance. Collectors love the 1994 no mint mark penny not just for its monetary value, but for the story it tells. It's a conversation starter, a tangible link to American history, and a reminder that sometimes the smallest mistakes can become treasures. For numismatists, coins like this combine historical significance with the thrill of discovery, offering a sense of accomplishment when one finds a genuine example. Owning such a coin is like holding a secret piece of history in your hand, one that few people ever notice, but those who do value deeply. Today, the 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny continues to capture curiosity. People are drawn to it not only as a collectible, but as a symbol of the unexpected. It teaches us that ordinary objects can carry extraordinary stories, and that paying attention to details can reveal hidden treasures in the most familiar places. Whether you're an experienced collector or someone who occasionally finds coins in your pocket change, this penny offers a lesson in patience, observation, and the unexpected rewards of curiosity. So the next time you hold a Lincoln penny, take a closer look. Check for that small, often overlooked mint mark. You might just be holding a coin with a story waiting to be told, a tiny anomaly with the potential to spark fascination, discussion, and even value far beyond its face. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us that sometimes, what seems ordinary at first glance can hold a remarkable secret, one that turns everyday currency into a piece of history that continues to surprise, delight, and inspire. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in the palm of your hand, a coin so ordinary it might go unnoticed, yet hiding a story that can surprise even the most seasoned collectors. Today, we're diving into one of the more fascinating pieces from modern American coinage, the 1997 D mint mark Lincoln penny. On the surface, it might look like just another penny, but for those who know where to look, it holds secrets and value that are anything but ordinary. The 1997 D Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series honoring one of America's most iconic presidents, Abraham Lincoln. Struck in Denver, as indicated by the small D on the coin, this penny was intended for everyday circulation. Like millions of other pennies, it passed through countless pockets, cash registers, and coin jars. But unlike the typical coin that ends up spent and forgotten, certain characteristics can make a 1997 D Lincoln penny a sought-after collectible today. Let's start with a brief history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, replacing the Indian head penny. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, featured a profile of Lincoln on the obverse and, for much of the series, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. By 1997, the coin was well established as a symbol of American heritage and small, everyday value. That year, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies, and the Denver Mint contributed its share, marked with a tiny but significant D below the date. In terms of design, the 1997 D penny carries the familiar Lincoln portrait on the front. You'll notice his thoughtful gaze and the fine details in his hair and suit, which have been refined slightly over the decades to maintain crispness in modern coin production. The reverse, featuring the Lincoln Memorial, offers a miniature view of the famous Washington, D.C. landmark. It's easy to overlook the intricacy of the design, but collectors often appreciate the precision of these small details, especially when examining coins for condition and authenticity. The metal composition of the 1997 D penny is primarily zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper. This combination was standard for pennies after 1982, when rising copper costs prompted the mint to change from solid copper to a mostly zinc core. While this may seem mundane, it actually plays a key role in how collectors identify certain varieties or errors. Pennies from this era can occasionally show differences in color, weight, or even thickness if errors occurred during production, and these discrepancies can make a coin significantly more valuable. Now, what makes the 1997 D Lincoln penny more than just a coin? Unlike older pennies from the early 20th century, which are rare due to age and low survival rates, modern pennies gain collector attention because of subtle mistakes or unusual features. For the 1997 D, a few coins have been spotted with what numismatists call mint errors, tiny die cracks, double dies, or weak strikes. A double die occurs when the coin is struck twice by the die in slightly different positions, creating a shadowed or doubled image, often visible on the date or lettering. These errors are not common, and when verified, they can elevate a coin from a few cents in face value to potentially hundreds of dollars in the collector's market. But even among regular, error-free 1997 D pennies, condition matters immensely. Coins that have remained uncirculated or in pristine condition can attract attention from collectors who prefer near-perfect examples. Grading scales, such as those used by professional services, evaluate coins on wear, luster, and overall eye appeal. A high-grade 1997 D penny, even without a notable error, is far more valuable than one that has been tossed around in everyday change. Several real-world examples illustrate this. Coins with verified double dies or minting anomalies have sold at auction for several $100s, depending on rarity and grade. Even pennies considered near mint can fetch $5 to $10 from serious collectors, which may not sound like a fortune, but when multiplied by the sheer number of enthusiasts, it creates a steady demand. Some particularly rare error examples have crossed into the mid-hundreds range, making them worthwhile finds for anyone willing to check their spare change carefully. So, how do you identify a real 1997 D Lincoln penny versus a fake or misrepresented coin? First, examine the date and mint mark closely. The D should appear crisp and aligned beneath the year. Look for any unusual doubling or distortion in the numbers. Next, check the weight. A genuine postminus 1,982 penny should weigh just under 3 grams due to the zinc core. Authentic coins also have a consistent copper color on the surface, though slight toning or wear is normal. Finally, if you believe you've found a rare error, it's best to consult a professional grading service to confirm authenticity. Coins with minting mistakes can easily be misidentified by the untrained eye. Here are a few surprising details about the 1997 D penny. Unlike older Lincoln pennies that are highly collectible mainly for age, modern coins like this show how even everyday currency can develop interest over time. Collectors sometimes enjoy comparing slight variations in minting, from subtle differences in the depth of Lincoln's hairlines to the exact spacing of the memorial columns. These nuances may seem small, but they become fascinating when you realize how many coins were produced and how unique a single well-preserved example can be. Collectors love the 1997 D Lincoln penny for several reasons. It represents a bridge between classic Lincoln pennies and modern minting technology. It's a coin that is still within reach for most people, unlike rare early 20th century pennies, which can cost thousands. Its potential for errors adds an element of treasure hunting to the hobby, creating excitement in something as common as a penny. Many collectors enjoy the thrill of searching through rolls of coins, hoping to spot the one coin that might change their collection or even their financial luck. Finally, consider this. The next time you reach into your pocket or dig through an old jar of pennies, you might be holding a piece of hidden history. The 1997 D Lincoln penny is not just a small coin. It's a story of craftsmanship, of a nation's ongoing minting history, and of the surprising value that can hide in the everyday objects around us. Whether you're a seasoned collector or simply curious about coins, this penny reminds us that even the most ordinary-looking item can carry an extraordinary tale. So, as you examine your coins or explore a local coin shop, ask yourself, could one of the pennies you pass by every day be the next 1997 D Lincoln penny that captures the attention of collectors, or even holds a secret worth discovering? The answer might be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to notice the tiny details that make all the difference. The story of the 1997 D. Lincoln penny is far from over. Each coin carries with it the potential for discovery, the thrill of history, and the reminder that even the smallest objects can tell the biggest stories. Keep looking, keep learning, and keep your eyes open. Sometimes, the extraordinary hides inside the ordinary, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that could be worth thousands of dollars, yet most people pass by it every day without a second glance. One small penny, minted over 50 years ago, hides a story of history, rarity, and unexpected value. Today, we're diving into the intriguing world of the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has captured the attention of collectors and investors alike. The 1968 Lincoln penny might look like any other small copper coin, but its story is anything but ordinary. At first glance, it's simple. 1 cent, with the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But this small coin carries a fascinating history, subtle design details, and a rarity that makes it highly sought after in the coin collecting world. To understand why this penny is special, we need to step back to the year 1968. The United States was going through a period of change. The Vietnam War was ongoing, civil rights movements were reshaping the nation, and the economy was navigating post-war inflation. In the middle of this turbulent era, the U.S. Mint continued producing coins that would circulate in everyday commerce. The Lincoln cent, first issued in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had been a mainstay in American pockets for nearly 6 decades by 1968. That year, the mint struck billions of pennies, but not all of them were ordinary. The 1968 no-mint mark penny is what we call a Philadelphia issue. In coin collecting, pennies made in Philadelphia during certain years did not carry a mint mark, unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, which would feature a small D or S. But what makes some of these no-mint mark coins intriguing is their subtle variations and rare errors. For collectors, these differences can mean the difference between a coin worth a few cents and one worth thousands. The 1968 penny is made of a copper composition, 95% copper and 5% zinc, which was standard for Lincoln pennies from 1962 through 1969. It features the classic Lincoln portrait on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, showing Lincoln facing right, with the word Liberty on his left and the date 1968 on his right. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial dominates the design, a tribute to the president's legacy, with the inscriptions United States of America and 1 cent. Despite its familiar appearance, coin enthusiasts know to look for the tiniest details, the spacing of letters, the depth of the minting, and any anomalies that might indicate an error or a rare variation. One unique feature that draws attention in the 1968 penny is its potential for double die errors. A double die occurs when the coin's design is stamped twice with slight misalignment, creating a shadowed or doubled image in letters or numbers. While these errors are not common, they exist, and when found on a 1968 no-mint mark penny, they can drastically increase the coin's value. Some collectors also hunt for coins with weak strikes, off-center minting, or other anomalies that occurred during the mass production of billions of coins. So why is the 1968 no-mint mark penny rare or valuable? First, the sheer age of the coin matters. Being over 50 years old, many pennies from 1968 have been lost, damaged, or worn down through circulation. Coins that remain in excellent condition, with crisp details and original luster, are increasingly scarce. Second, collectors prize variations and errors, especially those that were unintentional at the mint. Finally, the 1968 no-mint mark penny represents a piece of American history, a tangible connection to the late 1960s, and a coin that many people never think to check closely. Real examples of value can be surprising. A standard circulated 1968 penny is worth face value, 1 cent. but in uncirculated condition, graded professionally as MS65 or higher, the coin can sell for $20 to $50. Rare errors or double die variations can push that value into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, at a recent coin auction, a well-preserved 1968 no-mint mark penny with subtle doubling sold for over $800, capturing the attention of collectors who had been searching for years. For anyone curious about spotting a real 1968 no-mint mark penny versus a fake, there are a few tips. First, check the mint mark, or absence of one. A true Philadelphia penny from 1968 will not have a D or S second. Look closely at the date and lettering for any doubling or unusual spacing, which could indicate a mint error. Third, the coin's weight and composition can be tested. A real penny from this era should feel solid and have the distinct reddish-brown hue of copper. Finally, consulting a professional grading service or a trusted coin dealer is always a wise step if you suspect your penny could be rare. There are also fun facts and surprising details about the 1968 penny that collectors love to share. For example, some coins were accidentally struck on planchets intended for other denominations or with slightly off-center dies, creating one-of-a-kind variations. Others have survived decades in change jars, drawers, and coin collections, completely unnoticed, only to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. The idea that an ordinary coin could quietly hold thousands of dollars worth of potential makes hunting for these pennies both thrilling and rewarding. Collectors love the 1968 no-mint mark penny not just for its monetary value, but for the story it tells. It represents a moment in history, a connection to past generations, and the meticulous craft of coin making. Each penny is a puzzle piece in the larger narrative of American currency, and finding a rare variation is like uncovering a hidden treasure in plain sight. The excitement of spotting an error, verifying authenticity, and realizing you have something genuinely rare is what keeps collectors searching through drawers, jars, and rolls of coins. As we wrap up, consider this. The next time you pick up a penny, it might be more than just a small piece of copper. It could be a piece of history, a potential collector's item, or even a coin that could change someone's fortune. The 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a reminder that ordinary objects can carry extraordinary stories. So, the next time you handle a coin, take a closer look. You never know what hidden treasures you might be holding. The story of the 1968 no-mint mark penny is not just about money. It's about curiosity, history, and the thrill of discovery. For some, it's a link to the past. For others, it's a potential key to wealth. And for anyone who treasures the small wonders in everyday life, it's a reminder that even the simplest coin can hold a secret worth exploring. Keep your eyes open, and who knows, the next penny you find could be the start of your own incredible discovery. Imagine holding a coin that millions of Americans pass through their hands every day, yet very few realize it could be a hidden treasure. What if one simple penny in your pocket could connect you to history, to the U.S. Mint, and even to collectors willing to pay surprising amounts for it? Today, we're exploring the 1976 D Mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that looks ordinary, but holds a story that might change the way you see your loose change. The 1976 D Lincoln penny is part of a series that has been in continuous production since 1909, honoring one of America's most revered presidents, Abraham Lincoln. The D Mint mark tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the primary U.S. coin production facilities. On the surface, it looks like a standard penny, copper-colored, round, with Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But beneath its unassuming exterior lies a tale of American history, minting innovation, and the subtle details that make collectors' hearts race. The year 1976 was special for the United States. It marked the bicentennial, the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Across the country, Americans were celebrating with parades, coins, and commemorative items. While most people associate the bicentennial primarily with the quarter, the penny also played a role in this moment of national pride. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies, yet the 1976 D. Lincoln penny carries subtle features that make it intriguing to collectors today. In terms of design, the 1976 D penny retained the familiar motifs that had defined Lincoln pennies for decades. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's dignified profile faces right, his expression calm and thoughtful. The word liberty is engraved to the left, and the date, 1976, appears to the right of Lincoln's portrait. The mint mark D sits just below the date, a small letter with a big significance, signaling it came from Denver. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial dominates the design. Every detail, from the steps leading up to the monument to the tiny statues inside, is captured in miniature precision. The coin is composed primarily of copper, with a small amount of zinc, giving it that characteristic warm, reddish tone that remains appealing to collectors. But what really draws attention to this penny is not just its design. It's the subtle variations and errors that occasionally appear. Like many coins, some 1976 D pennies were struck with minor anomalies, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or faint die cracks. These imperfections are not defects in the sense of being mistakes. They are rare quirks that occur naturally in the minting process. Collectors prize these anomalies because they are limited in number and impossible to reproduce exactly, adding an element of uniqueness to an otherwise mass-produced coin. So why is the 1976 D Lincoln penny interesting to collectors? First, it's not as common in high grades as one might assume. While millions were minted, many circulated heavily, leaving few in uncirculated condition today. Coins that remain shiny with minimal wear are much more valuable than those that show signs of everyday use. Moreover, specific varieties, like pennies with slight doubling of the date or mint mark, can command a premium among dedicated numismatists. Even small details like the depth of the strike or subtle shifts in lettering can make a difference in value. In terms of actual market value, a standard circulated 1976 D Lincoln penny is worth only its face value, 1 cent. But for coins in exceptional condition, or with rare errors, prices can climb significantly. For instance, a 1976 D penny with a prominent double die obverse or reverse might sell for anywhere from several hundred to over $1,000 in private sales or auctions. Collectors also pay attention to coins graded by professional services, which verify their authenticity and condition. Coins graded as M-65 or higher, meaning mint state with very little imperfection, can reach prices far beyond their weight in copper. This demonstrates the remarkable idea that a simple penny, almost overlooked by daily users, can become a prized collector's item. For those curious about spotting a real 1976 D Lincoln penny versus a counterfeit or altered coin, the first step is careful observation. Authentic coins will have consistent weight and diameter, a proper mint mark, and clear design features. The mint mark D should be sharp, not smudged or unusually raised. Collectors often use magnification to inspect the fine lines of Lincoln's coat, the steps of the memorial, and the lettering for signs of doubling or irregularities. A genuine coin will also have a consistent metallic composition, whereas fakes may feel lighter or have a slightly different color tone. Handling coins with care, avoiding cleaning them, and consulting professional grading services are all standard practices for anyone serious about collecting. The 1976 D Lincoln penny also carries fascinating historical context. It reminds us that this was a period of transition in coinage. While copper pennies had dominated the 20th century, economic pressures were beginning to influence metal choices, leading to eventual changes in later years. The coin is a small time capsule, preserving the design preferences and minting techniques of the mid-1970s. Its association with the bicentennial, while not overtly visible on the penny itself, links it to a pivotal moment in American identity. Each coin is a piece of a broader national story, quietly passing through pockets, wallets, and cash registers across the country. Collectors are drawn to this coin not just for potential monetary value, but for the story it tells. Every scratch, shine, and mint mark tells a tale of history, circulation, and preservation. Some collectors love the tactile nature of handling coins, examining them under magnification, and learning the subtleties that distinguish one specimen from another. The 1976 D. Lincoln penny, with its mixture of common and rare features, offers both accessibility for beginners and depth for experienced numismatists. Owning one is like holding a connection to the past, a reminder of both the everyday life of ordinary Americans and the special moments of national celebration. There are also surprising facts that make this penny more engaging than you might expect. For example, even in such a heavily minted year, certain variations exist that are extremely rare, often resulting from minor inconsistencies at the mint. Coins with these rare characteristics can suddenly become highly sought after, sparking bidding wars among collectors. And while the face value is small, the excitement lies in discovery. The idea that a coin pulled from a drawer could be worth hundreds or even thousands, depending on its condition and rarity. It's a thrilling concept that captures the imagination of anyone who has ever sifted through loose change. Today, the 1976 D. Lincoln penny holds a special place in the numismatic world. It bridges the gap between the familiar and the collectible, offering a tangible connection to the past while presenting the potential for unexpected value. Collectors appreciate it for its historical significance, its potential for rare errors, and its aesthetic qualities. Its widespread familiarity, combined with these subtle points of interest, ensures that it continues to capture attention in coin collections, auctions, and educational displays alike. Even if you've never considered yourself a coin collector, the 1976 D. Lincoln penny invites curiosity. It challenges the idea that value is only about size, rarity, or price. Sometimes it's about the story behind a small copper disc that has passed through countless hands over decades, quietly recording history along the way. Next time you reach for a penny, take a closer look. You might be holding a piece of history, a collector's item, or a hidden treasure that tells a story few have noticed. In the end, the 1976 D. Lincoln penny is more than a coin. It's a symbol of an era, a glimpse into the life of everyday Americans, and a subtle reminder that extraordinary stories can be found in the most ordinary places. The next time you examine a coin in your pocket, ask yourself, could this humble piece of metal be a window into history, a collectible gem, or a secret worth exploring? Curiosity, after all, is often the first step toward discovery.